The Bitcoin Group, the American original. For over the last 10 seconds, the sharpest Satoshis, the best Bitcoins, the hardest cryptocurrency talk. We'd like to welcome our panelists, Dan Eve, the Crypto Raptor.
$1 trillion.
Ben Ark from BTC IoT.
Hello all, good evening.
Martin Wismayer from General Bytes.
Hi, how are you guys?
Josh Shigala from Vaultoro. You have to say something though. And I'm Thomas Hunt from the World Crypto Network. Moving on to issue one. Issue one, the price of Bitcoin. The price of Bitcoin is up 7.61% in the last 24 hours, with a last of 56,171. That's a full $1,000 up from when I last looked a minute ago, with a high of 56,342, a low of 50,755. That's $1 for 1,780 Satoshis, below the 1,800 Satoshi barrier. Volume was at 11,000 Bitcoins changing hands, quite a lot for a Friday. The market continues to lean long, 96% heading that direction. Bitcoin dominance is at 59%. Bitcoin price crosses $52,000 after JPMorgan calls current price unsustainable. This headline is nothing now. The price has now crossed $56,000. Bitcoin's market cap tops $1 trillion. Bitcoin is now a $1 trillion market cap, including other companies like Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, and Google, and Tesla. The price of Bitcoin is out of control. Dan Eve, what do you think about the $1 trillion market cap and the price of Bitcoin?
Well, it's another one of those significant numbers, isn't it? Then everyone was waiting for it to cross, and obviously you had the general crypto peeps that were, as soon as the whole crypto market hit $1 trillion, they got all excited. But true Bitcoiners were like, no, it's not official yet. We need to wait until Bitcoin hits that marker. And I think now it's kind of a lot more on people's radars. I mean, as if it wasn't anyway. Recently, it's been trending pretty much every day. And yeah, I think although like Bitcoin is not all about price, but let's face it, price brings the outside world in, and it brings the thirst for information. And yeah, fair enough, people come and get trapped in by the price and the memes and the fun side, and then they start learning about the technology, and then they get swept away when they realize how their actual US dollar or whatever currency is actually sweeping it away. And I think it was Max Kaiser said the other day that it's not that Bitcoin doesn't have a top, it's that the dollar doesn't have a floor.
Very good statement, Dan. Reminds me of during the Weimar Republic, when they were printing all that money, everyone thought they were getting rich. They were selling all of their hard assets and their land and their jewels and things for Deutschmarks. And the government at the same time was printing millions and millions and millions and billions of Deutschmarks. So you weren't getting rich, not in the long run. Ben Ark, your thoughts on the amazing price of Bitcoin?
Yeah, it's really rallying there, isn't it? No one's selling, lots of people buying. We've been bootstrapped by all the COVID stuff, obviously, and the economic uncertainty, which is just down the road. And we now have mass institutional FOMO from people like, Elon Musk putting Bitcoin on the Tesla balance sheet. So that's going to go a long way. I wouldn't say it's hyper Bitcoinization, but it's certainly a lot of financial gravity, which other money is going to kind of get sucked into. But I mean, the world's wealth in assets is 370 trillion. So is Bitcoin really worth one of those 370 trillion? I'm not sure. But then, I'm not sure market cap is actually a very good way to quantify or justify the amount which people are willing to spend for one Bitcoin. But that's all we've got. So that's what we use. But yeah, it could go a lot further. It could carry on going up. I think going by historical pumps, similar pumps, then I think it was like 240,000, wasn't it, or something that's a top out at. So whether it gets there or not, I don't know. But yeah, currently it looks like it's going to continue going up for a little while. It smashed through 50K and didn't seem to care about it. And now it's hit this 1 trillion. That's really going to, do the news cycle and then get all these financial people interested. But this time round, the people with money are going to look at the participants in Bitcoin, and it's just not a bunch of weird libertarians or dorky hackers or whatever. It's a bunch of very well established and respected financial investors. So that's going to go a long way too. So yeah, it can carry on going up. More upside to be expected, I reckon.
Martin Wishmare.
I think it's fantastic. Personally, I'm more in it for like really the technology. As a IT background, I do really believe in Bitcoin technology. But the fact that the market cap has now crossed $1 trillion means that different people will start taking notice. Like earlier this year, you saw Elon Musk talking to Saylor over Twitter and saying, well, are large transactions even possible? But in the bigger picture of things, what you'll see now is that Bitcoin has, it's just in a different bracket now, and different people will start noticing it. Because if you are like a fund manager for a pension fund or a large asset, you manage assets, and you have to be able to cash in and cash out enormous amounts of money without moving the market too much. There has to be liquidity in the market. And with a small market cap, there is no liquidity. So what will happen is that every pension or fund manager, everyone will have to start looking at Bitcoin. It doesn't mean that they'll really invest in Bitcoin right away, but they'll have to say something about it. And this means that different people will start taking notice, and different types of money will be entering the crypto space, especially, crypto space meaning Bitcoin. So I think, yes, that's good. It's a sign of Bitcoin growing up. Personally, I don't let it distract me too much. I just continue with the technology. So yeah, but it's good for Bitcoin.
Josh Shigala.
Yeah, the price is most definitely good for Bitcoin. It's good for industry. It's good for businesses like ours. People get more interest. We get more of the news cycle. What really interests me is what happens when the big players feel their first bear market. When Michael Saylor, how he will react, how Elon will react in the first bear market that they go through, which will, every bear market, every bull market's gone twice as high as the last or more. And every bear cycle has gone twice as long as the one before. So it's kind of like higher, yeah, but longer. So, and it'll be interesting once the bears come out of hibernation, what will happen to these big players? Will heads roll? Because this is what I think, a CEO spends a long time going through all sorts of schools and stuff to become a CEO, unless they start a startup and just jump into that position and do well. But if you get hired by a large Fortune 500 to become a CEO, you do things very carefully, because you don't want to just do something that the shareholders then regret you're doing and then chop your head off and you'll never get a job again. So I think people will be very, very careful at this price level, but I could be wrong. There's definitely a lot of people looking at it. I read a paper just recently where they interviewed, I think it was 120 or something, different high net worth companies, and asked them, well, now that Tesla and MicroStrategies and others are in, would you buy for your balance sheet some cryptocurrency or some Bitcoin in particular? And I think it was like 95% said no. So, we can go on about in the crypto land like we do about Venezuela. Everyone's accepting Bitcoin, and no, they're not. Don't kid yourself. People are still very unaware, unsure of the space, and we'll see after the next bear cycle what will happen then. But look, don't get me wrong. It's inevitable that that big institutions come into the space and start having this on their balance sheet. It's inevitable. Just like governments, it's inevitable. It will eventually happen. But I don't know if it's this cycle that will truly just get onboarded. Yeah.
Well, remember last time, Josh, that Patrick Byrne, the CEO of Overstock.com, was the celebration of the industry. And everyone was talking about how great he was and how Overstock had made all this money. And then when it flipped over to the other side and the bear market started, I think they went for his head. I think they tried to remove him from the company. And I wouldn't be surprised to see the same kind of thing happen to Michael Saylor or Elon if they don't get out at the right time. I remember Mark Cuban famously sold broadcast.com to Yahoo. And that was a pretty smart move, selling something he didn't own, college basketball games. But it was an even smarter move when he sold his Yahoo shares before the bottom fell out of the .coms.
Yeah.
There'll be winners, there'll be losers, but we'll see what happens before the bear market. Moving on to the exit question. Let's go to Crypto Raptor first. Will the price of Bitcoin be higher or lower this time next week? I think last time, in case you're keeping score, the Magic 8 coin, the Bitcoin predictor ball, was correct. I think it said it is certain that the price would go up. So
I think even though we're at historical highs, I think it's going to go up. And I think because of that buzz of the $1 trillion marker is just going to carry for a bit longer, and hopefully until next week when I'll be right and it'll be a high even higher. But if not, I won't be disappointed because it will still be there and still be 99.99999% up.
Ben, Ark.
Yeah, what kind of worries me is it did feel like we'd sort of topped, and then there was the Elon news which broke, and then that pushed it up again and gave it more levity. So I don't know. It feels like kind of perfect FOMO storm going on at the moment, and as we know from the past, that can suddenly turn. So I don't want to be, depressing, but I mean, it could suddenly just, the rug could be pulled out from under all of us. But of course, we all hope it goes up, as Josh said, because it gives it great coverage and gets more people interested in Bitcoin. And to be fair, the state of the world's economy right now, people need a free and open source money they can easily, opt out into. So hopefully it will continue, and hopefully more people will be bitten by the Bitcoin bug.
Martine, higher or lower?
Definitely higher. I've seen so many announcements from like Deutsche Bank to big US banks moving into Bitcoin that there will be more people buying in, and it's odd, but usually when the price is up, that's where everybody starts asking, how do I buy those Bitcoins? Well, they should be buying when the price is low. People don't do that. They buy when the price is high. So, yep, price will be higher next week.
Josh, Shigala.
Yeah, exactly what Martin said. It's when old Wall Street people will say, hey, when the shoe shine boy tells you which stock to buy, then it's probably time to get out. That's really unfortunate because, as someone that's a humanitarian, you want the little guy to earn some good money. You want them to lift themselves up and out of power. But unfortunately, that's not how the world works. Unfortunately, people that are uneducated, they see money flowing in somewhere and they pour in right at the top. And when it's down, I mean, we've all seen it, guys, right? When it's down, everyone laughs at you and says, it's dead. It's dead. It's like, no, it's on sale. Now is the time. What are you talking? And it's so weird because if you're talking about a jacket or something and they go in, you go into a store and the jacket's 50% off, you're like, ooh, 50% off. Wow. And you get really excited. But when it's Bitcoin, for some reason, it's like, oh, it's 50% off. Oh, I don't want to. You're like, come on, man. Like, don't you get it? Don't you get how this works yet? When it's down, that's when you buy. And like my Telegram has blown up. My Twitter private messages, my WhatsApp. Oh, how do I get in? John, how do I buy? You're into Bitcoin, right? And it's like, man, what? Come on, why now? Now is the time, which a lot of people in Baltoro are obviously doing, but is cross-averaging out slowly. And I'm sorry, I'm not going to go along with this hodl shit. I'm going to say, hey, you don't want to be holding for 3 years, selling your precious Bitcoin at lows. It's when it's going up. You want to cross average slowly out. Not everything. Don't just grab everything. It's too scary. Slowly every week, just a little bit out. Take some profits. Put it into bullion. Put it into gold. Don't sit there all the way up and then crash and then you go, I mean, you can. That's what definitely. I've done for many cycles, but
Josh is describing my strategy here.
Yeah, yeah. But it's really, when it's going down, you cross average in, and when it's going up, you cross average out. It's as simple as that.
I think you're right though about the jacket though, Josh. If they still wanted the jacket, if they really wanted Bitcoin, they'd buy it anyway. They'd see what you're saying about the sale and it being low price. Instead, they don't really want the jacket. They don't really want the Bitcoin. They just want those gains. They want that 10%, that 20, 30, 500, whatever it's going to be. And the sad part is what you're saying and what you're trying to say to them is, yes, those gains were in the past. You had to like Bitcoin when it was unpopular to get those gains. You might not get them now. You might even get the reverse. You could buy the top of this thing. Yet at the same time, it's so hard to know what to tell them because they've finally done what you wanted them to do all this time, which was get interested in Bitcoin and maybe go buy some and try to change their life with it. But it feels like the wrong time. I mean, sure, historically, anyone that bought the top has always paid off eventually. But it's holding during that long bear to get back to the top that I'm not sure everyone's just capable of. So now we need to go to the predictor of predictors, the magic Bitcoin ball, which will tell us, will the price be higher this time next week? Now, a lot of people think it's a bull market. They have a lot of charts and triangles and calendars and all these kind of things, but we really know. The ball knows. Oh, it says, better not tell you now.
Oh,
that sounds like a positive. That's a positive though. I take that.
Cliffhanger.
That's a plus. That's not a, it's not bringing us down. Just like to ask everyone to give us a thumbs up or a star or a retweet or a like or whatever platform you're on. I can only see the basic numbers, but we have 42 people watching us on YouTube. That's very good. We have one person watching us on Twitch. Shout out. You're like the only one. You're like a warrior all by yourself.
Yeah.
And then 11 people on Periscope. So you're going to have to use the heart button because they took away the star. But you're also very special.
Oh, it just jumped up to 15. Let's try to get it to 55, like the price. Bump
55, like the price. Did you know the World Crypto Network has its own audio podcast? And I've been updating it every day manually. Check out the World Crypto Network audio podcast on Apple, iTunes, Spotify, and other places where you get your podcasts. Bitcoin is now in a bear market, according to the Motley Fool, just a few weeks ago on January 25th. But wait, what's this? The Motley Fool announces a $5 million investment in Bitcoin. The Motley Fool is announcing plans to allocate $5 million of its own cash into Bitcoin. Let's go down the line here. Let's go to Ben Ark. What do you think about the Motley Fool changing their position, going against their writers and jumping into Bitcoin with their own money?
Yeah, I mean, it's they can't. It's good when someone can change their opinion so quickly. But I mean, it's just one reporter, isn't it? His opinion. So maybe the Motley Fool weren't too happy with that, and this is their way of saying to people, look, we're not that closed off from Bitcoin or closed-minded when it comes to Bitcoin. But I don't really know the Motley Fool thing so much. So I haven't got too much to comment on. But yeah, it's quite funny reading his article and reading the article by the reporter, and clearly just didn't really like Bitcoin. But then to be honest, I thought it was satire. I was thinking, is this real? I couldn't remember at that time that Bitcoin had dropped a bit. And to be fair, he was, I suppose he was right. We were kind of going into it, but it did look quite bearish. I felt quite bearish. It felt like dead cat bouncing, and we were going to do what Bitcoin does and drop down again. But then the Elon story broke. So yeah, 5 million's nice. There's a bit more capital into Bitcoin as the gravity of Bitcoin grows and sucks in more capital. So yeah, it's pretty cool that an entity can change its opinion so quickly. Whereas in the past, we've seen, there are still people who hold their opinions, which they decided upon in 2012, and they're still firm on those opinions now. So maybe they wanted to change their direction before they became stigmatized as having a certain opinion on Bitcoin. I don't know.
I just love that it's a lot of these places where you would get your non-traditional stock advice, like the Motley Fool or Seeking Alpha. And they were so against Bitcoin. They were like, this doesn't look good and that doesn't look good. And I'm worried about this. And they never saw it as the outsider trade that it was, that Bitcoin was a risk like any kind of other stock or things like that. But it's that outsider risk that you have to take if you want to make big money. And a lot of people did take that Bitcoin risk against the advice of all these stock people. And now all these stock people are back with us. Suddenly Bitcoin's cool. Kramer's into it. Mad Money, his own Kramer, is back after bagging on it so many years ago on The Good Wife. Martine Wismayer, what are your thoughts on Motley Fool changing their mind?
Well, the first article I found the bearish article. I'm not sure if the person who wrote it, he sounded a bit like a shitcoiner, like, oh, Ethereum has so many different features and Bitcoin only a store of value, and it will be the new blockchain that will take over. So it was really. Oh, and then they closed off with the energy FUD, like Bitcoin uses too much electricity, So I was like, ugh. It just had like bad article written all over it. And then the next article, like a few weeks later, where they announced, now they announced that they put 5 million of their own cash in. They did that for a fund, which was what they do is they create a sort of portfolio that will increase your value of your investment by tenfold or something in 10 years. So if you're looking for big gains within 10 years, then Bitcoin is definitely the coin to get. Forget stocks, get some Bitcoin too. So I think from a high risk, high return perspective, Bitcoin makes sense. And even now, I think Bitcoin is not so high risk anymore. It's mainstream with a $1 trillion market cap. So yeah, everybody's entitled to a second opinion, but they got Fool in their name, so we can expect some crazy articles, so no problem.
Well, and where were they 10 years ago? Come on, got to be faster than that. Josh Shigala, your thoughts on the Motley Fool?
And it sounds like the Motley fooled everyone else. That's what they're trying to do anyway. I mean, it's if they were doing this with a normal stock, I think the SEC could have something to say about it, because they're obviously trying to manipulate the market by saying that it's in a bear market, because they're trying to buy their measly 5 mil like it ain't, like it's something anyway. Like come on, man, 1.5 bill. That's what we're talking about here nowadays. But at least they got in. But yeah, it's typical of actually a lot of where do I start? This is a very important thing I'm going to say here, folks. During these bull times, you get a lot of people searching on YouTube for a lot of shows, and you'll get a lot of news media, and you get a lot of manipulation, especially in the altcoin markets. They'll be like 50, what's the next big pump? And you can be guaranteed, because this isn't a regulated space, you can be guaranteed that they've bought those bags beforehand. And literally the minute that video goes live, you watch that thing go pop, 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 pop. So if you're watching that video an hour later, it's too late, buddy. Don't get fooled. So yeah, just be careful. And articles like this Motley Fool one is they're trying to do it with Bitcoin. Obviously you can't. It's too big of a market, and Motley was a bit foolish to try that.
I do like that idea though, Josh, that if they really thought that by putting that article out, they could have depressed the market of Bitcoin and gotten a little bit more for their money. They're again 10 years too late on that as well.
Yeah. Dan
Eve, the Crypto Raptor, what do you think about Motley Fool?
So I used to follow Motley Fool quite a lot, back in the day when I had some shares from the company share scheme, and then suddenly thought I was a trader because they did well, and that ended terribly, because most trading does, and that's what catches people out. So I think that with Motley Fool, they probably took a really cautious position. and obviously tried not to get swept up, but their investors have probably said, look, you've missed the best performing asset ever. How did you not see this coming? And that's probably made them swing a bit. But I like the idea that I think it was Martin that brought up that there was a kind of bit of a, at the end of one of the articles, it was like, but Ethereum can do X, Y, and Z. So maybe the Motley Fool, what they're trying to do here is set it up to say like, remember that article? We've got you like the next Bitcoin. And they're trying to set it up like that. I don't know, but at the end of the day, when anyone changes their position on Bitcoin and they're a trusted kind of knowledgeable, authoritative, sort of publication or whatever, it's a good thing.
Let's build on what Dan is saying there for the exit question. Motley Fool and other websites like this, they compare various stocks. And all stocks are pretty much the same, right? They're a company, they're trying to raise funds, they're trying to make products, they're blessed by the stock market. So it makes sense to compare them. Will Motley Fool fall into this trap and begin comparing Bitcoin to other altcoins as if they were just other stocks? Ben Ark, will Motley Fool go altcoin?
Yeah, they all do.
Let's go to Martin Wishmayer. Will they go altcoin?
They'll probably start recommending to buy Doge and other shitcoins later. Yes, it wouldn't surprise me at all.
Josh Shigala.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a bit different than some of the other people on the panel. I think altcoin is a little bit broad of a scope because these things are digital keys. These are digital keys and they can be used for many things. Bitcoin for me is one of the most impressive and most precious. And but definitely there's other use cases. So I think that they probably will, and they probably should if they're journalistic integrity.
That's still another big yes. Dan, Eve, are we all yeses?
I'm afraid so. I think at the end of the day, these are the rest of them are money instruments, or at least that seem to appreciate like Bitcoin in some ways, and it's only a natural kind of progression that people will say, oh well, okay, so you covered Bitcoin, then why aren't you covering such and such? We want to hear about these other ones. We want to hear about these other picks, and they're not interested in the politics or the monetary policy. They want the kind of stock type gains, and that is the kind of trading side. That's ignorant of the politics, unless of course the politics can affect the price. So I'm going with they'll go shitcoin central.
Yeah, one thing I just got to add there's just saw a leak, a hot leak, where the Marques, KPMG or whatever his name is, the guy that does tech reviews for a long time. I really like his stuff, his work, YouTuber. But one of his leaks came out where they're like, Marques can, talk about Tron without actually mentioning that they're sponsored, make it just sort of slip it in there. And, and you just think, man, come on, like at least just have some integrity and say, hey, this is a sponsored break. This is what Tron's about or whatever. But this is what you've got to be careful about, folks, because you'll get people that you respect in the space starting to talk about total nonsense coins and make it sound like it's a legit thing that is interesting. And I'm not saying that there's not other legit projects. There are, but just got to be careful with who's reporting, what's reporting, and do your own research. Learn how to read GitHub and understand what real problems people are trying to solve. You're on mute, Thomas.
All right. I'm in agreement with the rest of the panel. I think that the Motley Fool will go full altcoin and with a vengeance, because they're going to feel bad that they missed the boat on Bitcoin. So the way they're going to try to make up for that is to tell you all about the new coin and the new thing, whether it's pancakes or waffles or crepes or whatever's coming out next week. And they're always going to be on that. And much like everyone else, I think this is just a progression that everyone has to go to, like a boy becoming a man, where they're going to be all crazy for the altcoin. And then someday they'll come back and they'll say, you know, that Bitcoin was really different than those other things. Maybe we shouldn't have put it in the same box. Maybe they'll have some hits out of the other box. They'll be like, these are some great alternative currencies or other coins, whatever we're supposed to call them. And yeah, they'll go up and down, but it just seems like everyone goes through the same pattern. Doesn't matter if you're Motley Fool or just some random guy. You're going to be
But
like,
do they return to Bitcoin? No, I don't know if they return to Bitcoin. They just like rage quit and just say it's all a scam and just walk away from it, or they just carry on holding their shitcoin bags, hoping it'll one day pump.
As a Bitcoin maximalist or whatever negative thing they want to call me, they always return to Bitcoin in the end. In the end,
long enough time frame.
Back on a long enough time frame. So shout out to the 73 people watching us on YouTube. Your thumbs up make a difference. Thank you for voting. It's free. And please subscribe down below. We do a lot of shows like this, and it's great to have you guys back again for more shows in the future by subscribing. Moving on to issue 3, Bitcoin ETF. A Bitcoin ETF is roaring in North America. Why did we say North America? Because it's a Canadian ETF. That's right. No one in the US cares about Canada or anything they do, but their ETF debuted. That's a French word, and I said it right, with $165 million of trading volume. So apparently ETFs matter, even if they're in Canada. We talk about Bitcoin ETFs all the time because we want one in the US. We want people to invest their retirement funds in Bitcoin. Of course, now that Bitcoin's already gone crazy, they might have already missed the boat for that, but who knows? People love to invest in things, even if they're too late. Martin Wismayer, your thoughts on the very exciting North American Canadian Bitcoin ETF?
Yeah, I think we discussed this ETF thing before. Personally, I'm really like, not your private keys, not your coins, but from an investment perspective for like many in the US, especially, where you can assign, I believe through the 401k, you can steer your savings, your pension savings to one of those ETFs. So this way you get some exposure in Bitcoin, and it's pension savings. In Europe, we generally have no influence what happens with our pension money. So they might as well invest it in landmines and weapons and others, palm oil and other like despicable investments. But yeah, I think it's good for the market. It will, Bitcoin should be part of your portfolio. And if you can't really save, and the only way to save is via your 401k, then having an ETF where you can put some money in will remove the huge premium those say Grayscale and stuff are currently charging. So this will make it a little bit more accessible for a large group of people. So that's, yes, ETFs, I have no problems with it. It's not for me, but I understand why they matter. Yeah.
That's a good point, Martin. We do have the funniest headlines here, like when the teachers union invests in the aerospace company. You're like, that's great. They're buying bombs. That's good for everybody. Let's go to Josh Shigala. Your thoughts on the Canadian Bitcoin ETF?
It's inevitable. I mean, people want to trade from the stocks and share market across to an ETF. What really is interesting for me is the technological front, where ETFs allow themselves to be totally transparent by showcasing their cold wallets and seeing exactly matching their cold wallets balances with the amount that's in the on the books. So this is what I'm finding interesting, and I hope they do it. I'd like to see more transparency in the ETF market, and moving on later down the track, I'd like to see them even release the ETF and tokenize it and have secondary markets away from their silly markets, because you can start to package up those things and track and trace them across the blockchain. So there's some really interesting stuff coming up ahead, and transparency is really what's key here. We saw a total destruction of the markets in 2008 because people were trading and tracking debts And those debts, no one knew where they were or who belonged to what and anything anymore, because it's so intransparent that not even the people dealing in it knew. They just knew that this is number go up. No, it's not. It's number go up until one day they're like, what did I have even? Let's have a look. Oh, nothing. So this is what's really exciting for me, is seeing transparency in these markets.
Dan, Eve, your thoughts on the Bitcoin ETF? And like Josh is saying, do you think they have all the keys? Do you think they have all the Bitcoin?
Well, I think so, and I know that there's been a surge in custodial solutions and sort of banks getting into that side of it as well. So there's a lot of opportunity now for people to get involved, whether it's either holding their own Bitcoin or giving it to someone else, that trusted third party. And not everyone kind of believes in the ethos of holding your own keys, purely because it can range from trusting themselves with a 24-word seed. And whilst it's something quite simple and easy for us, that having been in the ecosystem, for someone else, the idea of, say, having 24 words that holds a considerable size of their wealth actually scares them. They want someone to shout at, or just an easy way of doing it without having to have a wallet. It's just that kind of general technology hurdle that some people have. So ETFs open it up to more people. I think it's kind of good. It's in a way. I'm really hoping that for a lot of the people that are going in now, that especially the no coiners that are suddenly jumping in, that the rally does really go to how the prophecies are foretold of up to 250k or whatever, so that a lot of these no coiners don't get burnt on their first time round, and especially going in now there are so many ETF projects, a much more sizable chunk of the earth being burned in a bear market, rather than just Bitcoiners who are kind of used to it after so many years. So I don't know. I think it's good. It's good to have more access to Bitcoin, because it just puts it in front of people's faces, and they ask, what is Bitcoin? And then they find out and go down the rabbit hole.
Ben Ark, your thoughts on the Canadian Bitcoin ETF?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the amount of wealth, doesn't it, when it comes to a 24-word seed, and you don't want to be storing. I mean, you can obviously store huge amounts of money in a 24-word seed, but if that money is representative of a pension fund, and then you'll feel more secure if it's by an accredited service, as opposed to them holding it themselves. And obviously we've seen with fairly technically competent people within Bitcoin, the Bitcoin world, and who understand Bitcoin somewhat, that they lose Bitcoin all the time. So an insured and accredited service like an ETF is very important for these big, and this is why for such a long time a lot of Bitcoiners have waited for an American ETF, because we thought it would be a way for onboarding all these huge pension funds who want to invest in something like Bitcoin, but they just can't, because they can't hold the physical product. So they need to do it through something like an ETF. So it's good news. It's good news showing that an ETF can work, and it will hopefully encourage the SEC to grant a US ETF. And I think the reason there was so much volume which went through was because other ways in which these funds can invest in Bitcoin through Bitcoin sort of tracking services or whatever, they don't actually hold the Bitcoin. Is that correct? So I think because this ETF actually holds the Bitcoin on their on their behalf, that the fees are a lot less or something, and it's more tracked to the actual Bitcoin price. So yeah, it's an important tool which these big financial services they need to be able to onboard onto Bitcoin, and it shows that okay, we're at this crazy price tag right now, but we still haven't got a US ETF. So goodness me, there's still all these funds which aren't able to invest in Bitcoin. So yeah, maybe it still is very much undervalued.
All right, I want to ask a two-part question. I feel like I have to ask when there'll be an American Bitcoin ETF, even though I don't care. So 6 months, 1 year, or 5 years. But what I care a lot more about is talking about what Dan said. If Dan's prophecy comes true, the price of Bitcoin hits 250K before falling horribly to something like 20K, which wouldn't even be that bad. Will these people sell? Will they take any profits, or will they go completely up and down with the ship? So ETF time period, and will they sell? Let's go to Martin Wismayer. Go ahead, Martin.
I think, I suspect safe bet is within a year or so, we'll see a US ETF. They just can't hold that off any longer. The reason was always price volatility, market manipulation, but with a 1 trillion market cap, it's becoming more and more difficult to even manipulate the price. The ETFs, when the price goes up, then goes down. I'm not sure if it really will go down. What we see now is Bitcoin has been put into a different bracket. It's no longer geek money, and it's really big money now. And with a $1 trillion market cap, I think we see a lot of price going up, and I think gradually it will make it more and more stable. So I think the chances of Bitcoin reaching, say, 400,000 or 500,000 will be higher than it collapsing back to 20K or something.
So Martin's getting a little closer on the ETF. Josh Shigala, the ETF, and will they survive the bear?
Yeah, this is something that has really confused me on Bitcoin settled ETFs, meaning they have to buy the actual Bitcoin. I don't understand how they do it, because these players are working like with market buys of millions, like in the millions every day, selling and buying, just boom, 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 boom. And it becomes extremely scary, like managing to go out there and source OTC, some of these, and suddenly you just can't find it, because as soon as there's American ETF, there's Canadian ETF, there's an ETF in Germany, there's ETFs around the world. Where are you going to source these? There's only 21 million of these things. And these funds are regulated, so they have to deliver what they're promising, otherwise they go to prison. I don't actually understand how they work, but yeah, there will be an ETF in the States. And I think this is the problem that they're going to buck up against, is that there's just not enough Bitcoin to go around.
I had a scary vision of the future there when Josh said there's only 21 million of them. I remember that old game we used to play, musical chairs, and we'd walk around in a circle and they'd pull the chairs out and there's less and less chairs. Yeah. And that could happen to one of these companies. Well-meaning, professional, Wall Street, all the business suits that you can get. There could not be enough chairs if they don't do this the right way. So
yeah, especially in a bear market where someone's selling, but and they're wanting like cash out, but they didn't sell quick enough because they couldn't find another buyer in that moment. Like it's just dropping like a pancake in the kitchen.
Oh, more spoilers, more pancake references. Dan, Eve, the question goes back to you. How soon will there be a US ETF, and will these people survive the bear?
Well, I'm not hopeful for, I think, again, some people don't like the idea of a US ETF, and some people do. I think, again, it's more exposure for Bitcoin in general. But I remember, back in the day, even just in 2017, when it was around March, I think, and Bitcoin was on a rally from about $600 to $1,000, and everyone's kind of waiting. There was that big ETF decision, and it was like it sort of had a huge build up, and it didn't come. And there's been quite a few of those. So I think at the moment, just put it to the back of your mind. If it happens, take it from there. But I think the interesting thing will be, and I reckon so maybe for the next bull run in 24, 25. But the interesting, we've talked about, like, say, how Overstock may have got, that they bought Bitcoin, and then obviously there was a bear market and Elon's buying now. But the interesting thing will be when the first company publicly states that they've bought Bitcoin and then goes bust during a bear market.
Yeah, or gets hacked.
Or gets hacked, yeah. So I'm waiting for one of those stories, mishandling the private keys, or just going, right, yeah, we kind of stuffed up. We bought the top. Sorry, shareholders. Bye-bye.
Yeah. I mean, we had that with Litecoin back in the day, going, when's Mt. Gox going to take Litecoin? And everyone was like pumping. And there was all hints, Litecoin's going to go on Gox. And then Gox collapsed. And I was like,
That was the Midas trading engine. They were going to have the Midas trading engine, and they're going to add Litecoin. And that was, again, another one, Josh, where I was positioned for it. I had my Litecoin. I was going to sell them when it went up. I didn't have emotional attachments to them. Yeah, I was ready for that one. And I agree with Dan that that last ETF discussion in the United States, that's the one that broke me. Before then, I was like, ETF is good. We're going to get retirement money, new money into Bitcoin. This is good, good, good. Now I'm just like Lucy with the football. I'm like, you took it too many times. I don't care anymore. You have your ETF. You don't have it. You have one in Canada. It's a big success. Nobody cares. All right. We're tired of your ETF money. But no, they still love it. They love it in Wall Street. They want to have 5 ETFs. That's going to solve the problem. Thanks to everybody for giving us a thumbs up. We're up to 82 viewers. I think we could get to 100 if you guys gave us more thumbs up. And be sure to subscribe down below. We're still trying to get the subscription numbers to 100K because YouTube sends you a plaque. So that would be cool. If anybody has a program that like makes that happen, we'll do it for the plaque at this point. And again, plaque would go like right here. You would see it on the show. So thanks so much for joining us and giving us the likes. We're going to move on to issue 4. Issue 4, Tesla CEO Elon Musk takes major U-turn on Bitcoin. Elon Musk is involved in another Twitter storm overnight, tweeting that Bitcoin is almost as BS as fiat money. He was in a discussion with Changpeng Zhao, the CEO of Binance, talking about Dogecoin back and forth. Later on, Musk did clarify the key word here is almost. But look how much fun the media had writing an article about it. Let's go to Josh Shigala first this time. What do you think about Elon Musk's major U-turn? And is the media going to do this about every celebrity Bitcoiner whenever they make even the most minor comment?
Yeah, hang on. When did he buy? Was it last week? Have we talked about Bitcoin? I mean, Elon buying his Bitcoin. I mean, sure. Time has just gone weird, folks. I don't know, like it's just rushing but slow. I'm like in the Matrix. I don't know whether I'm like, what? Yeah, anyway, yeah, definitely. I mean, Elon is a special case. He's some sort of media magnet. People love him. I mean, he's the real life Iron Man. He's this super cool dude that's just doing a million. I don't even understand how his calendar works because, you know, he's running 5-6 businesses. I don't get the guy. It's amazing. But yeah, especially when he talks Bitcoin, everyone's like, whoa, you know. So I'm actually looking forward to some of the boring people to come in and join us on the good side of history, which would be like Oracle. I mean, Apple's not boring. Apple's another Elon type in my mind. When Apple does, there'll also be a lot of things. But this is why I knew the bear market wasn't starting. The bears were still hibernating because Elon's media magnetism rides on. So and it will for a while. That's just a no-brainer. 5
businesses and a baby. That's a lot Elon's got going on over there. Dan, Eve, your thoughts on Tesla and Elon Musk?
Well, he's definitely made the right move so far in terms of buying, you know, and what he's up, is it 70%? I think I saw. Maybe it's less than that. But either way, he's up a lot. So he's in people's good books, you know, maybe right now, knowing that they're a bit probably wary of him buying, you know, Bitcoin, and now they're probably thinking, well, it's just crossed $1 trillion market. He might kind of seem to know what he's doing. But I liked his quote he said, having some Bitcoin, which is simply a less dumb form of liquidity than cash, is adventurous for an S&P 500 company. I think that's kind of a you know, it's an odd statement. Obviously, you know, it's kind of a punch in the gut slightly, but also at the same time, you know, the fact is it's better than a cash. And I think he's kind of showing that tongue-in-cheek side of the sort of Bitcoin culture. But the one thing I've noticed sort of over the years is that one of the biggest kind of blocks for people, especially that are in property, moving to Bitcoin, was the fact that they always thought Bitcoin was illiquid. You couldn't sell it, you couldn't get rid of it, etc. And now that kind of the COVID things happened, and the property market's not fantastic. I know people that have been trying to sell their houses. And it's my turn to say, well, if you had that money in Bitcoin, it would be far more liquid for you. So I think that there could be some more kind of pushover from other markets where they're seeing how Bitcoin flows a lot better than they initially thought. And if their money's tied up in certain assets, Bitcoin is actually really easy to sell now. It's extraordinarily easy to sell now. And there's no argument anymore that, it's difficult to buy and sell Bitcoin because there are so many services doing it. So yeah, long live Bitcoin, long live the king and queen and jester, all in one.
Martin, your thoughts on Elon's almost Bitcoin?
It was a bit of an odd statement, but if you consider that Tesla made more money in the past month than they've been making in the past 14 years selling cars, it shows it's a bit of a joke. I mean, they made more money in 1 month than in the previous 14 years. But in order to make that money in Bitcoin, they had to sell cars for 14 years. So I'm not really sure if they should even be making cars at all, because those electric cars, they're just there to help the hippies and the green environmentalists buy a car. So there's no other reason why you would want an electric car. But they did make a lot of money on Bitcoin. So I think he was just joking a bit, and it's been pulled out of context. So no, good Bitcoin. I think it will probably be the way to pay for the self-driving Tesla Uber car in the future, because it will be a driverless car, and you'll have to pay for your ride. So it won't do any change. So it will be Bitcoin or something similar. So no, Elon is super. He's a bit odd at times, but yeah, as Josh said, so was the Iron Man.
So now they'll be Martin has me thinking that Michael Saylor is really smart because he can earn all this Bitcoin without having to make the electric cars. It seems a lot simpler. Go ahead, Dan. What were you going to say?
I was just saying, I can visualize now the self-driving Teslas, they're shared because they'll pool them rather than actually, and you'll just go up, you'll stroll up to your Tesla, you'll whip out your Lightning wallet, and there'll be a little LN Bits Tesla screen.
Absolutely. LN Bits will be the way to go. Because it's got webhooks.
Just like exactly. Hot Time Machine 2. Ben, this Tesla webhooks LN Bits future, what do you think about that?
Webhooks fix this. They fix everything. Yeah, no, I mean, maybe he was playing devil's advocate. I think it's quite a reckless statement considering the amount of people's wealth which is on the line. I'm going to take the opposite side to the panel. I think Elon Musk has been acting a bit like a twat. When you're in that position of being the richest dude on the planet and you own these companies, I understand that you still have the freedom to say what you want on a platform like Twitter. Like you can exercise that, but you don't need to prove that every moment of the day and toy around with people's futures on a whim, either to prove you have some power which you can exercise, or maybe it's to enrich your friends by giving them the hot tip before you make some statement. But no, I think it's incredibly reckless and poor behavior on Elon Musk's part. I don't like the dude in general because he doesn't, you speak about his productivity, but actually he's like any good business leader. He's able to delegate tasks to a lot of very talented engineers who he never gives recognition to. Watch, his Joe Rogan podcast where Joe Rogan's saying, how do you do all these things? How do you do this? How do you do that? And he's like, oh, I'm just, Elon Musk. It's like, no, you've got these amazing engineers behind you who are probably ripping their hair out right now because they're working crazy 14-hour days to make all this shit happen for you. And you're taking all the credit to perpetuate this cult of the entrepreneur because somehow it justifies that some people in this world are meant for extreme greatness, where others aren't. I don't like the whole cult of the entrepreneur. I just think it's stupid. for me, there's nothing better when someone who's in that position goes onto one of those sorts of shows and someone gives them credit for all the good work they've done, and they say, look, I can't take all the credit. I have a great team who work with me. They, you know, all I'm good at really is I'm good at picking good people. I have some good ideas, and I make those people make those good ideas into reality. And that's actually what happens for Elon Musk. There's a very good argument that Elon Musk has been with us in Bitcoin since the very beginning. It was his industry. I've said this before. He wanted PayPal to be something like Bitcoin, like a digital asset, a digitally native currency. But then they realized in order to survive because of eGold and DigiCash that they would have to just, you know, bow down to regulations and then just become a way of transferring money over the internet. So, you know, as a project which has been humming away in the background, I'm sure he's had a keen eye on Bitcoin and he wants it to succeed. He may have even been involved in helping create the thing. But I think the dude needs to rein it back a little bit. He's proved that he can say whatever he wants whenever he wants to say it. He doesn't need to continue doing that. Maybe it's just he's gone power mad. I don't know. But yeah, no. When I see these sorts of comments on Twitter by Elon Musk, it doesn't give me a thrill. I just think, oh, you dick.
Finally, someone taking Elon Musk down a notch. I just wouldn't go to Mars, Ben. I wouldn't go to Mars because on Mars, you have to have Mars coin to get the air from Elon, or Elon just puts you out the airlock. But yes, finally, someone taking him down a notch. Moving on to the exit question. Will Elon Musk follow in the footsteps of Kiss's Gene Simmons, who apparently bought Cardano today because Cardano costs a penny? Do we have to worry about Elon selling his Bitcoin for some come along, what's it called? Johnny come lately altcoin. Let's go to Martin first, I think.
Did he really buy Cardano? Because that's
according to Gene Simmons' Twitter, he bought like, I don't know, $100,000 or something.
No, he's just throwing all the cash around. You told me last time he also bought Dogecoin and stuff, you know, and I'm more worried about Gene Simmons in this case than Elon Musk, because you should read about the economics, see how many coins will be mined. Then you'll find out that Dogecoin is really the worst bet of all. It was launched as a joke. It's still a joke. It will never reach $1. All the cash is concentrated there. Cardano is more of an, I think it's more of an ego trip by the founder of Cardano. Not naming a name, but he used to be in the Ethereum team, and then he dumped all his Ethereum for, I believe, all his Ether for $1. He just wrote it here, I'm selling all my Ether for $1, and then just sold it to somebody for $1 just to make the market crash. Basically, you know, it was a big ego thing. It's like with Bitcoin, you know, you got the Bitcoin and then you got Bitcoin Cash, and then fake Toshi was big or too big of an ego for that altcoin, so he launched his own BSV. And I think Cardano in that respect is the same. There's no use case for Cardano. This is all about Gene Simmons. He should focus. If you're watching, I know you're watching, buy Bitcoin, sell, declutter your portfolio, get rid of all the shit coins, and just purchase Bitcoin if you want your money to grow. If you have an interest in the project, definitely do it. Buy any coin you see a use for. But if it's a store of value, just stick to Bitcoin. I don't think Elon Musk will do that. No, he'll just buy some Dogecoin for the lols of it, but that's it.
Martin being very nice to our Twitter follower, Gene Simmons, giving him the straight advice there. Now, remember, I like Gene Simmons, but his previous experience was rock and rolling every night and partying every day. So you might be a little busy to read about market caps and penny stocks and that kind of thing. Josh Shigala, do we have to worry about Elon dumping the Bitcoin? And what about our friend Gene Simmons?
Nah, who knows? You know, this is the beauty of Bitcoin. You don't know what's happening. They do what they want. If someone wants the thing is, what do you want to dump it for? Unless Elon buys bullion or something else, you're just basically buying a worse store of value, which is cash. Unless his company really needs the cash, then I don't think he will dump it. There's no reason to. But you know, I deal with some billionaires. Funnily enough, I'm not saying that to be like, oh, look at me. I'm just saying as a fact. I've talked to them, and it's very, very hard to store a lot of money. It's very, very difficult and scary because it's your net worth, and you have to like have managers, and they have to open a bunch of different bank accounts because they're only insured to 100K, like it's just nothing to them. And so trying to put money in around the place, and these banks just go bust all of a sudden. Oh, there goes someone with $60 million just gone because this bank, and I don't have time to sue them or go after them. It will take up too much time. It's very difficult. So Bitcoin's a very good, nice, easy, boom, it's in there. It's clear. Yeah, it'll ride out the bears and bust, but at least the bank won't just go bust on me, or the government won't confiscate the money or the property or something like that. So I don't think he will sell. I think he'll keep it in there. He sees it.
I have that problem with all my accounts, Josh. All my accounts. Ben Ark, did we go to you yet on Gene Simmons and Elon? Obviously, I think he's not going to sell. What do you think, Ben?
Oh yeah, no, I mean, does he follow World Crypto Network on Twitter? Does he?
Gene Simmons from KISS does. Elon Musk, well, Tesla does not yet. Yeah,
he does under pseudonyms, of course, like under his sock puppet accounts. He'll hold through. I think going back to one of the other topics, I'm not sure I finished off on the one about these big funds like ETFs, for example, whether they'll ride out a bear market. They will, and they'll have to, and the Michael Saylors as well, because they'll have to sell the rhetoric that Bitcoin's volatile, it goes up and down. They need to sell that to their board. They would need to sell that originally in order to make the investment on something like Bitcoin and to be able to part with funds and put it into Bitcoin. So they're going to have to ride out those storms. They're not going to sell when the bar market crashes. It's not going to be like your average user who suddenly gets scared and starts selling their coins off because they don't want their investment to drop out to nothing. So Gene Simmons, if he's got these good financial advisors around him, they'll obviously advise the same thing. They'll say, look, Gene, if you don't want to be, if you can't wait 5 years to become even richer, then that's a patient trade. And what does Warren Buffett say about patience? That the market is a way for impatient people to lose money to patient people. It's always worth remembering.
Yeah, but the thing is that there's different reasons for buying crypto and the wider market. There's a lot of old people that sit in casinos pulling a lever, watching the thing go ding, 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 ding. And it's the same rush of watching on CoinMarketCap all now this time Pancake's gone up. And next time, the sausage coin. And so it's the same sort of thing, right? You get these rushes of, I've made 20 grand now. It's actually paper. You haven't actually made it because more often than not, you reinvest it back in and then you eventually lose it. That's the sad truth of it. It's usually gambling addicts.
But I mean, it's always, it's gambling, and so many people lose a hell of a lot of money playing around with those shit coins. So it's really not worth it. If you can't wait 5 years to get rich, then
But some people make a hell of a lot of money too. You can't just say that people lose money for taking on some of these crap coins. You can make money as well. It's just it's very, very usually it's a rigged game. It's usually the pre-sale and all of this stuff. But there are some good projects if you can find them. But generally, yeah, it's and this is why the news media cover these, because hey, you missed Bitcoin. Why not get this one at -1 cent?
And Josh is getting ahead of himself here, though. We are going to cover Sausage Coin and Big Sausage Coin and all the other exciting coins in the next topic. But first, we want to say thanks to everybody for giving us a thumbs up. We're up to 93 viewers. We were very close to 100. which is a big round number and very arbitrary. But thank you for giving us those thumbs up and subscribing. Here's our bonus issue for today. Issue 5, PancakeCoin. Let's see, I need to be on the thing here. No, this won't do it. There's so many buttons on this.
That ticker looks like Biden's votes. All of a sudden, straight up out of nowhere.
Shh, that's not true. Big lie.
Ooh.
Anyway, Binance Coin. Check it out today. So Binance Coin is up 71% today. I was almost going to get to say 69%. And they tell me on Clubhouse that the reason Binance Coin is up so high is because of something called PancakeSwap. PancakeSwap is up 47% today, ticker symbol cake, and it's up to $19.63. So it's gone crazy. You can farm Pancake. They're on the Binance chain coin. This apparently is why there's all this discussion today about Ethereum and Binance coin and Binance chain coin and all this kind of stuff. But for me, it's just an excuse to retell one of George Carlin's classic jokes. This is George Carlin. I did not write this. He says, I've got an important message from the National Council of Pancakes. Fuck waffles. Every time, George, every time. So let's go down the line. Crypto Raptor, what are your thoughts on Binance Coin, Pancake Coin? This merges into Uniswap and Sushi. These are all very exciting new DeFi things I don't know very much about. Thanks to Joseph on Clubhouse. He was chatting me up on these things, giving me the inside scoop. It's up 70% today. Should we be FOMOing in? What do you think, Dan? What about this Binance Pancake situation?
So I think it's all very complex, isn't it? And I took a bit of a hiatus, and coming back, and you're just like, well, this whole new area where there's massively growing, and the fact is that there's a lot of money flowing into it, and whether you're a Bitcoin or not, there seems to be a lot of hype about it, and who's not going to like the idea of having loads of people probably will, but having Bitcoin and then wrapping it in a smart contract and just earning interest on your Bitcoin whilst still having it. It's like having your cake and eating it, right? So why not be able to, take advantage of services like that, I suppose. Some people want to, some people want to take the extra risk. But it's a very complex system, and as I understand it, like the Binance chain is pretty much just a straight copy it's a clone of the Ethereum chain with the same addresses. PancakeSwap's like the Binance equivalent of Uniswap, and I think what played into the Binance price was CZ was recently on CNN as well, so probably that created a bit of hype around Binance, which then this kind of huge spiral, the kind of spiral of both Binance and PancakeSwap. Reaching, I think PancakeSwap actually doubled Uniswap's volume today. I like keeping up on these certain things. I do find it quite interesting. At the end of the day, it's people that have taken Bitcoin and done other things with it. And whilst Bitcoin is Bitcoin is king, I do think it's quite interesting how so many random industries have spurned off from NFTs to DeFi's, and it really is. It's still quite fascinating for me. Bitcoin is the one, but it's still quite interesting.
Ben Ark, as it was explained to me, if you farm Pancake, you can have your cake and eat it too.
No, I don't get it. I mean, I know people are making money out of this DeFi stuff. I still haven't researched it properly. I mean, Bitcoin's enough. Keeping up with Bitcoin and what's happening in Bitcoin is enough for me. But yeah, and people can put their capital to work. So they get some extra revenue from it. I know that's the hot thing in Ethereum, and those Ethereum people are making some money from it. So, good luck to them. Congrats. When you see 70% returns in a day, or 70% increase in a day, it feels like gambling. I detest gambling, any sort of gambling. So Bitcoin scares me with its price volatility. Let alone some of these things which are shifting tens of percents a day. And I've talked to enough people who've lost a lot of money to stay away from all that crap. But DeFi may be different. I don't know. It may be different from the ICO craze we saw before, and the the altcoin craze we saw before that. But it's yet to be proved that it's anything different than just people pump in to try and make some easy quick gains.
Martin, can I interest you in some pancakes with syrup?
No, thank you. I don't play the shitcoin casino. All those DeFi projects, I just consider them Ponzi schemes running on mostly the Ethereum network. They were desperate for a use case there because the ICO craze went bust in 2017. So now it's all DeFi, and people make a nice smart contract where they get interest and they can loan money. But in reality, those smart contracts are hardly ever properly audited. There's bugs in them. You see flash loan crashes, tens of millions of dollars in hacks lost, panic, and the price will come down just as fast, if not faster, than it goes up. So if people are looking for a store of value, stick to Bitcoin. As Ben said, Bitcoin really is enough. And if you're looking to gamble, then gamble, but it's best to just gamble in a casino if you really must, because then you'll know it's audited and fair. Well, more or less, the house always wins. But if you want to play those DeFi Ponzi games, no, thank you. You should not ask me either, I think. So my advice is stay away from it. Keep your syrup. It will only make you diabetic.
Josh Shigala, are you a pancakes guy, or could I get you some French toast?
I actually, the whole thing works on over collateralized debt positions. That's basically where it's the foundation. So you put, 1 Bitcoin in, and you can borrow 0.8 of that to go leveraged long, basically. And it's all through smart contracts. So you're not trusting a company. Well, when I started Vaultora, I actually wanted to build a decentralized exchange because of Mt. Gox collapsing. I thought, right, this is the last exchange. I'm tired of this. So my brother and I sat down and tried to figure out how to build a decentralized exchange. The thing was that the op return codes just weren't, there wasn't sophisticated enough to deal with a true decentralized exchange without like mutually assured destruction and stuff like that, which gets scary. But really, what Uniswap managed to do was build Shapeshift for in a decentralized manner, because Shapeshift got taken up by the regulators and told they have to take KYC, and then Uniswap came and actually built that sort of system, like a very nice exchange, decentralized. And then other clever people figured out how to build liquidity pools so that you would always have liquidity on both sides. So it's not an order book, they're just pools of these coins. And rather than one central party offering both sides, like you have in the stock market, you have thousands of people all putting money into pools and hoping to make a return by market making these markets. And this is a fascinating space. And I definitely don't think people should go, la, 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 Bitcoin only, because it is very interesting. Like, it's really taking down a lot of the exchange space and the Wall Street space, and it will eventually take down things like NASDAQ. But it's very risky, people. There's so much crap out there, and people are just gambling on the weirdest shit. And especially on Binance chains, I don't mean to be racist here, but a lot of the Asian countries are very, very good at copy pasting and making something new, like grabbing, especially with open source projects, boom, boom, boom. And if you have a look, it's every country. I don't mean to be say so generalistic, but I have noticed on the Binance chain, there's so many coins, and you look at them and you look at their interface, they're literally a copy. Every icon is the same, but they've just switched the color of the interface, and that's all, and called it, instead of pancake, they've called it, I don't know, something else. Flippy Flappy coin, Flapperjack, and so it's kind of wacky. What are you gonna invest in Flapperjack coin, because it's now a decentralized exchange and it offers to. Now I saw a great graph the other day. It was like, DeFi, do you understand this coin? Yes. Earn lots of money. No. Earn lots of money. Like it just. like when you see that sort of thing, just be very, very careful. While it's a very interesting space, and I'm definitely following it, I find it fascinating to see decentralization in the exchange space and how they've solved order books, and rather than by having liquidity pools. I think it's also just awash with crazy scam coins.
I kind of view it like like a buffer zone, because when that stuff eventually gets into the Bitcoin space and to second layers and RGB and whatever else, then it'll probably be pretty functional, fairly safe. So, you know, it's almost like, you know, it's that test net where they can play around with these things and get hacked and there's all this mess and it's the Wild West. And I kind of feel that the reserved, conservative Bitcoin, by the time it eventually ends up here, then it'll be something probably worth looking at.
Yeah, I mean, this is the other thing, that we will see $1 billion hack soon. These smart contracts are holding a lot of money in them. You know, the thing about a smart contract, folks, all a smart contract is, for all those out there, is a computer program that runs on a hell of a lot of computers. And if 51% of them say that's the output, well, then that becomes truth. And that's why it's a smart contract. It's not really smart at all. It's just the fact that 51% of them give the same answer. So you trust that answer because a hacker couldn't infiltrate all those computers. And so, but there are problems where a computer program always have bugs. They always have bugs. The thing with a centralized thing, you can quickly try to fix it. A decentralized system, especially on a blockchain, is locked in. It's locked in. It's very hard to upgrade. So if there's a bug, someone will find it and then drain the swamp. And I fear that this will happen very soon, especially with really reckless chains where on Binance or something where you're getting clone after clone after clone, someone will find the problem and then just drain every single clone out of their coins. So then you'll see a huge dump in BNB and we'll go back to the drawing board.
Many of those smart contracts, I agree with Josh, they are not smart and they're not really a contract either. They're like a computer program, but many of them, for those who toyed around with Ethereum, it's quite complicated and it's very, very easy to make a mistake. And as Josh said, once deployed, you can't change it anymore. So this is a number of like problems, and it should be properly audited before they go into production. But since everybody is chasing those moon highs, a lot of times there is not even proper auditing in place, or the people making it are not able to proper audit it. And in combination with code you can't change once deployed, this really is a problem. And this is why I think it's best for now to stay away from it. So this is why I'm sticking to Bitcoin.
Martin's right on there. He says the smart contracts are neither smart nor a contract. Reminds me of the Holy Roman Empire, which was neither holy nor Roman nor an empire. And also what Josh was saying there reminded me back to the old Silicon Valley show where Jin Young was going to make a Chinese copy of everything. He was going to make a Chinese copy of Facebook, a Chinese copy of Twitter, a Chinese copy of Pied Piper, the company they were making on the show. And I'm only afraid what happens when they make a Chinese copy of Binance. He won't like that. He won't like that at all. So exit question, I guess we could just go around the horn here. Binance coin, Pancake coin, this time next week, higher or lower? And then for the good of all these Pancake people, we will ask the ball for you because we feel bad and we want to give you the straight truth from the ball. Let's just go. Ben Ark, higher or lower? Pancake coin, Binance coin.
God knows, but it'll be extreme. It'll be 1,000% up or right down there in the zero.
Big prediction there. Martin, your thoughts?
I can't judge. I'll leave it up to the Magic 8 Ball.
Josh Shigala, higher or lower?
I think it's gone way too high. It'll be lower.
Crypto Raptor, higher or lower? They're still muted, huh?
I agree with Josh. I think it's climbed way too high, and it's just a giant vertical ding. And the fact is, it's unsustainable. However, it's not, unheard of that if Bitcoin, altcoins ride off the curtails of Bitcoin, and if Bitcoin, smashes right through the $1 trillion marker because of all the hype, then it's likely that, the other shitcoins will be dragged along with it, and some of those gains will actually be locked in. But I don't know, never buy something that you wouldn't ski down. That's the way of thinking. Never buy something you wouldn't ski down.
It is starting to get like a very steep hill up there. And here it is, the Bitcoin predictor ball. Will the price of Binance coin be higher this time next week? You may rely on it. So there you go. The ball hath spoken. Experts, opinions, logic, all of that. Forget it. Give in to the ball. Just do what the ball says. Check out shop.worldcryptonetwork.com, where you can get the World Crypto Network mug, the Treasures Don't Float t-shirt, Bitcoin Not Bombs 2020 Halvening Edition, and the World Crypto Network shirt. I've got my World Crypto Network mug right here, but you can't see it because there's too many buttons to push. One more time. It's a mug. It holds stuff. But I think that's about it. We want to just thank everyone for donating. We reached our goal on my fundraiser to purchase a new laptop. We're now trying to get a better laptop, a higher goal. So you can still donate with the QR code on your screen for on-chain Bitcoin, or with Tallycoin in the description below. But thanks so much for your support. And thanks to everybody for giving us those thumbs up today. We got to 90 live viewers, still sticking with us on YouTube. It's very cool. Yeah. We also want to go around here.
And 77 thumbs up. I got to say that every one of those thumbs up is another K on the Bitcoin price.
Yes, every time you click that thumbs up button, the price will go up.
Oh, there goes another one.
And now we just need to go around to predictions or story of the week. What have you guys got going on? Dan, Eve, Crypto Raptor, prediction or a story of the week?
Oh, on the spot. Okay. So I'm gonna go for a crazy prediction, because I think we need one. And I reckon not only is Bitcoin actually going to go up, but I reckon it's going to be something like 75K by next week. I'm going to put my 8 balls on the table.
75K by next week. Exciting prediction. I like to see it. Let's go. Josh Chigala, you got your microphone ready. Prediction or a story of the week? Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, we launched silver on Vaultoro, silver trading with Bitcoin and ETH like a month now ago, and we've already traded 2 million grams of silver. Believe it or not, it's amazing. So I'm really happy about that. I think what's happening is people are slowly, like I said, they're slowly hedging their bets out of this craziness. We'll see what happens, but yeah, it's definitely weird to see what happens when the price goes stable. Buying slows right down. As soon as it goes up, people just pile into metals, and if it goes down, people sell their metals back to crypto. So it's interesting watching that market.
Very cool. Ethereum and now silver, all kinds of new options at Vaultoro. Martine, your thoughts, prediction or story of the week? Go ahead.
Story of the week is that we've got some probably a new model ATM coming up very soon. So I can't tell you anything about it yet, and I can't show you any pictures yet. But if you're in the market for a new ATM, do check out generalbytes.com and subscribe to the newsletter. I think the big news here is from Ben, and I think I'll leave it to Ben, but Ben.
All right, Ben Ark, you've got big news for us.
Give Tchaikovsky the news.
Oh, but you're muted still. Or something. I think it's just mute, but
the Zoom isn't muted.
Yeah, the Zoom is unmuted now.
Let me plug in and plug out.
Yes,
it
works.
Yeah, there it is.
It works.
No. Can you hear me now?
Yes, it works.
Yes, I can hear you now. Go ahead, Ben.
No, I can't hear you, but I'm just going to imagine that you can hear me because you're nodding. Umbrel, which is a great way of setting up a full node, very easy. You just flash the image onto an SD, pop it in your Raspberry Pi, and boom, you have like a Lightning node, a Bitcoin node, full Bitcoin node, and it does a really nice sort of block sync in the background as well. So it's a great UX and for people, particularly people who aren't too comfortable on a more complicated project like a Raspberry Blitz or something. It's a very easy way to spin up a node. I honestly didn't realize how many people used Umbrel, but they launched LM Bits on Umbrel. So they made a Docker image. They're able to get it into their app store. And then all of a sudden we had like a flood of people asking us all these questions. We were like, whoa, where are these people coming from? And they were all the Umbrel community. And I went on their Telegram, and they got like a couple of thousand people on their Telegram, or close to a couple of thousand people. And it's great they're getting such traction, because man, those guys work hard. Like, you look at the amount of conversation which is happening on their Telegram, the amount of questions there are. And they've added a lot of apps to their Umbrel store, but LM Bits is one of them, and that's great. And we even had like a couple of the devs from Umbrel come into the chat and say, dudes, this is, because I think it's the first time they've properly played with LM Bits as well. So they played around with like the extensions and things. So that's been really great. And yeah, Martin's been very positive, because I know you installed it, and you got LM Bits up and running. And we had a little issue, like they installed like an older version of LM Bits, because they went by one of the tags which we made in the repo, but now they've updated it to the latest master branch, so you get the latest version of LM Bits running on your Umbrel install if you install it. So that's really great, and we were very grateful for all their hard work. That team's amazing, it really is.
That's awesome. I got to say, like, with all this price talk that we talk about on the show and all these billions coming in, I find it amazing that a lot of the developers aren't getting paid for some of these projects yet, and you should definitely donate to some of the hard work that people are building Lightning Network out, and things like these full node projects. A really, really important part of the ecosystem, which hardly gets mentioned, and I think it's really great work, Ben.
I totally agree. It's so easy now to spin up a node and become Bitcoin, like the Umbrel quote is. You just go to getumbrel.com. You get some really for less than $100. You can get the basic hardware. Make sure you have an SSD drive. And if anyone who finds it difficult, if you're a web developer, it's usually quite daunting to get started with Bitcoin and the Lightning Network. But by just installing this node, installing the LM Bits app, you got a thing called webhooks, and every web developer out there knows how to deal with webhooks. So if you know that, then you're already halfway there. And then you are your own bank. You can create an application that will charge people in Lightning, and then you can run it through LM Bits. It's just, it's just amazing.
You reminded me as well. I managed to get my headphones working, thank God, because you reminded me that this is what's great about that project, is now it's kind of getting, more and more people are using it. So it's sort of the exponential things happening. But a guy just popped in the chat, never been in there before, and he said he's made a nice Node.js library for all the API endpoints for all the different extensions on LM Bits, which is really nice. So like you're saying, like for a developer, now they could just install this npm library, and then they've got all the API points, and it's very simple functions, and they can just bring it into all they need to do is just put in like their LM Bits endpoint. Could use lmbits.com, although please don't, or they use your own installed version, and then you put in your keys, and suddenly you can just access all these API points. So that's super cool. Like, Miguel, I can't remember his handle on Twitter, sorry, but thanks a lot for that. That was great to see that happening as well this week. It's great. Yeah, it's cool.
It's very cool. And people can check out LN Bits at lnbits.com, or like they're saying, you can get it on the Get Umbrel app store. I installed one of those Get Umbrel nodes onto a virtual machine, and it did work, but I didn't run the virtual machine long enough to sync up the node and all that. So I never got to install LN Bits, but it's very cool to see Ben's project getting so big. And like you said, to get those new developers, and just many hands make light work with the whole open source thing. So it's very cool to see that happening. We almost got to 100 viewers today on the little box. It says 98. right now. So welcome to everybody that just joined. You will be able to rewind the show and go back if you want to watch the rest of it. But this part of the show is probably going to end. I'll try to update the podcast later. Be sure to check out the World Crypto Network. Subscribe down below. We had a couple of shows today. We had a fun show. I went and hung out on Clubhouse for a little while, and some people joined me, and we talked about Bitcoin and other things. So that was really fun. I also read out this blockchain newsletter. They have like a weekly markets newsletter. It seemed really smart, and I wanted to share that with you. So we read it out, and we made a podcast and a video of that. And we have Today in Bitcoin. We've been doing daily episodes for at least the last 30 days or so. So check those out if you want to get a little short blast of the news. We also have that on the audio podcasts, all at worldcryptonetwork.com and other places like that. So thanks so much for joining us. Until next time, bye.
Bye.